boys and girls. It's good to be back. Today's lesson, as you can see, is about God's design for your life. Okay, and we're going to be doing a lot about Abraham and Sarah in the next couple of weeks. As you can see, I've put a tent up, all right? I'm sure you all remember playing in your mom and dad's homes. You're still in your mom and dad's houses. And you've put chairs together, and you've put tables together, and you've put blankets over, and you've made a whole tent experience for yourself inside, so you don't have to be scared outside in the dark. Right. So this is part of our story today, so I thought I'd just bring that to your memory. Okay. So we're going to be talking about moving around. I'm sure some of you have had that experience where you've moved from one house to another house. Maybe some of you have had an experience where you've moved from one country to another country. Okay, how did it feel? Were you scared? Were you worried? Because it's all new. All these different things. What could you take with you? What did you have to leave behind? All right. So our story today is about Abraham and Sarah. Okay, as I've told you, they had to go on a journey and they had to move. They stayed in a town called Ur. Okay, and Ur was a big town, almost like, what can we use as an example? Who's ever been to Sandton or Johannesburg? It's big, right? There's lots of shops and there's lots of things to do and all of that. But they were in Ur, and God said to them they needed to move house. So they moved to a smaller town called Haran. Okay, and they were very happy there. It was smaller than Ur, but they could still have their family and their friends, and there were still things to do, so they were very happy to be there. But then God spoke to them again, and he said to them that they needed to move again. So, because Abraham knew that God was always with him and always protecting them and helping them, he knew that because God had told him they need to move, he needed to do that and they would be fine. So, in those days, they didn't have cars. Nope. They had horses and camels and goats and sheep, and they did everything with their feet. So they had to walk everywhere. Can you imagine? Can you imagine moving from your house today and you got to walk there and you got to take everything with you on your back? You can't take all your toys with you. You can't take all your things with you. You can't even take food with you. That's got to happen along the way. Okay. So they decided, okay, they'll go. Now, a little bit back in the story, Abraham and Sarah were not able to have children. So Sarah was very sad because she would never have children that she could look after and mother and do all those things with, okay? But they had made their peace with it. God promised them that if they moved from Haran to a new place that he had chosen for them, that he would bless them and make them the father and mother of a great nation. They would have many children. So what do you think Abraham thought about that? What do you think Sarah thought about that? Well, they knew that God always kept his promises and he was always with them, so they went for it. So here's the story. They didn't want to leave Haran, but Abraham trusted God. He knew that God's plans were always best, even if he didn't understand them. Abraham knew that God always keeps his promises. So Abraham and Sarah started packing. Right. Soon Abraham and Sarah were very excited. They invited Abraham's grown-up nephews, Lot and his wife, and he knew that they would go with him. So everyone was so busy getting ready. The women packed clothes and food for the journey. The children packed their favorite things, and the men packed the tents and the blankets and everything that they would need for the journey. The servants packed the food for the animals. Okay. At last, everybody was ready to go. Abraham, Lot, and their wives said goodbye to their friends and family and set out with their servants, with all the animals going in the front of them. The journey took a very long time. All night, at night, they had to stop and put up their tents. I think they were better looking than that one. Okay, so they had to put up their tents at night, and then they had to look around for wood and for food and get their food done, their meals done, so that they could eat. And this carried on. And they had to keep the fire going so that they could keep warm at night as well, okay, in case it was cold. At last, Abraham reached Canaan. God spoke to Abraham there and said he would give Abraham all the land that he could see. Imagine if you were standing outside the church here and God had said to you, look out, and every piece of ground that you can see, I'm going to give to you. Can you imagine? Wow. Imagine if you're living at the sea and you step out of your house and God says to you, he's going to give you every piece of land that you can see up until the ocean and the ocean too. Wow, that's amazing. That's big. Okay. So, he knew that God was going to give him all the land. The land would be for him and his children forever. Abram didn't know how God would keep his promise, but he knew God had been with him and his family on their long journey. God had kept his promises to look after them, and God would keep this promise too. Okay. So, if you've been listening, that I'm sure you all have, you will have realized that Abraham believed what God said. Okay, he believed that God would always keep his promises. And our lesson that we need to learn from today is that God always keeps his promises. He is with us wherever we go. He is with us when we are at home. He's with us when we go on a short journey. He's with us when we go to visit a friend. He's with us when we go to church. God is with us all along the way. He's with us when we go to the dentist, when we go to the doctor, when we go to school, when we go to the shops. He's always with us. It's like when we're moving home as well. You know, you can think that it's like moving home when you go to all these places. God's always with you because he loves you. That's his promise. So our memory verse today is from Deuteronomy 31, verse 6b. And it says, the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you. So just hold on to that whenever you do things this week, whatever it is you're doing, school, activities, going to the shops, going with your mom and dad somewhere, if you've got to go to the dentist or the doctor or wherever you've got to go. Just remember that God is always with you. And my last little thing for you today is remember, go with God. Keep well, keep safe, till we see you again. Bye.